Okay, we're now on our second topic on biological sampling. Yes, so we're now um, discussing about animal sampling populations, sampling animal populations in terrestrial ecosystems. So basically, it's more on bio kayota. So now let me present to you the flow of presentation. So we have the following. Now we will be going to tackle about the trapping techniques, the marking techniques, how to estimate animal numbers, uh, determining the age, sex, and home range and territory. So basically, just like the vegetation component of an ecosystem, we also need to quantify animal populations. So it is part of the study of biodiversity. So aside from vegetation analysis, we are also doing animal sampling, no? In order for us to know the relationship of the vegetation to the animal population. Okay, since na other animals na rely on certain habitats or maybe vegetation that can maybe be used there as their main source of food or maybe shelter, no? So in Ana. So sampling animal populations is more complicated than sampling vegetation, primarily because animals are mobile and itinerant, no? So, mobile in a way na mag-move sila from one place to another. So, definitely, kung katotong gi-count first, basin nabalik na nato siya count, no? So, kay galihok-lihok biya sila. So, dapat kailangan nato siya dakpon, no? For us to know and to give say tawag ani ka ng markings nga we already counted this particular species as one of the abundance. So animals in the wild are so aloof, no, and shun the company of men. So most of them, they run quickly, no, when they know na ay mga disturbances. So, mo na siya nga murag maidlas sila. So, they don't want any disturbance. So that's why. Okay, they grew up in the wild. So, dili sila anad nga naitao. So, usually nila kakita nga animals ra pod. So, hence, no, it pays much to learn the techniques in marking and estimating their population. So, let's now move on to trapping techniques. So there are a lot of techniques involved in trapping techniques. So first, no, when you do trapping techniques, no, uh, sampling an animal population involves capturing live animals for marking and release and counting, no, the carcass of an animal. We say carcass, na ilahang mga dumi, no. So, meaning when you do trapping or when you count animal or when you sample animal population, you don't kill them. You simply catch them and then release them to the wild. Release them back to the wild. So, aside from that, no, why do we conduct sampling for them? It's because, no, we want to assess the population of a given animal. So by that, no, we can be able to know their status or for conservation purposes na dapat kay since na we know that their count is kanang decreasing, then maybe we could do some actions or give policy or let's say implement policies or ordinances na mag-prevent sa ilahang kining decrease sa ilang population. So that's it, no? And for example, in kaning mga cannon nets, we have this kind of trapping techniques in which these cannon nets and even mist nets are used for large birds. So kung ikaw makadakop ka diretso sa ilaha, pwede rin nimo i-itsa ang net, and then you'll be able to catch, let's say, swans, sabanin sila mga ducks, no? Then ihapunday nimo sila. For mist nets, ang imong buhaton ng ani is you hang this and leave this for about maybe 2 to 3 days or even a week, depending on your scope of kanang sampling. And then masangit naman dari sila ng mga birds. So that's the time na mag-isod na sila. So pwede na niyo siya dakpon, then paunin niyo siya, then punday niyo sila, then pwede rin na niyo sila ipalupad balik. No? For mammals, we have the wooden traps or the wire traps. They are used to capture them. So, of course, by doing this, you have to put a food in which that when they are being when they consume this, then definitely they will be trapped inside the wood traps and the wire traps. So eventually you'll have to release them in the wild. Kay mas stress man sila, kay especially when kaning, for example, the wire traps, no? Gagmay kayo siya, tapos dagko kayo ang sulod. So definitely mas stress sila, and this could give them kaning harmful effects, no? Even the snap traps are used to catch mammals. Examples, mouse traps, no? I mean mouse nga mo no, mga rodents, no, nga mo mupain sila sa kaning mga traps, so dara ma-capture sila. And then another is the marking techniques. We also have this. Now, as you can see, there are different types of marking techniques. Here we have the scale removal. So kuhaan siya, tangtangan siya scale to know that this particular reptile, kaning mga lizard, kay nahuman na nimo ni siya, na-count na nimo ni siya. Other marking techniques includes serially numbered aluminum bands, which are also used, be used in birds. So we have stickers in which that they have specific serial numbers. Nga this species of bird, no, are already captured and has been accounted, no? So na siya. And then the plumage dyeing, in which that they have to color the plumage of the bird, okay, para to know, no, to give them the idea that they have already captured this, no, and they have already marked this sa ilahang data. Another marking techniques we have is the notching ear. So usually these are used in mammals which are having a kanibitang mga dagko na large scale na mga mammals. All you have to do is you notch the ear, samadan sila, tangtangan sila part sa ear nila, or maybe strap tags in which nga butangan sila tag nga nahumanan sila or identify, and they are already been accounted, no, as for the number of species. Another is the clipping of toes. So as you can see, we have here frog toes, in which nga gibalian sila isa to know that they have already been captured, and then na-name na ni sila. So wala siya. And also tattooing for animals, no, other mammals such as rodent na medyo dali ra matangtang if na ay mga kuan-kuan sa ilang tiil na ay isabit na speaker, for example, dili na kay na applicable sa ila kay matangtang na siya kadugayan. So all they have to do is to tattoo their tail, na giving them the idea that they have already captured this rodent and they have already identified this. And there are also radioactive tracers in which na, especially those animals that are living or burrowing underground, in which nga ginapainom sila og tracking device, radioactive tracers, in which nga may balaan kung asa sila napaingon, no? And then kung daghan na ba kaayo nga mga kining population nila ang naadara, no? So that's it. So another method we have is estimating animal numbers through the following: through census, sampling estimate, and indices. So let's have first the true census. So it refers to a head count of animals in a given area. So there are two types. We have the direct count and the spot map method. So the direct count can be made in areas where animal populations congregate. So kung for example, they are living in areas tapos nagkuan na sila, kaning nag-usara, then all you have to do is to direct count. Like mag-ihap ka 1, 2, 3, o kay naaman sila nag-usa sa isa ka lugar. So that's direct count. When you say spot map method, no, avian mapping, also known as spot mapping or territory mapping, is a widely used bird survey technique in which an observer attempts to record the exact locations of individual birds within a defined study plot. So basically in spot map method, it's more on mapping. So GIS-based mapping. So all you have to do is to go to the sampling area, and then you have to count the or know the presence, or maybe if you don't count it, can be, but the presence also determines the distribution of this particular species in an area. So kung isa ra kabuk ang imong gitan-aw nga avian, then maybe kung mawala ni siya, how would you know that, or how would you explain to other people na you're having a map tapos you're only considering one bird species? So simply you have to do abundance. Kay kung asa sila na-distribute, ilocate mo sila nga nganong daghan sila dari nga part, nganong gamay ra ang kaninga species dari nga part, no? Or something like kaninga mga species na nakita ra siya dapat dari, pero karon tinaa na siya kuan mga 30 kilometers from the radius nga where sila na originally nakita. So in ana, that is the spot map method. So another is sampling estimate, no? There are two basic assumptions. First is mortality and recruitment. When data are being taken are negligible or can be accounted for. So kaning mga mortality and recruitment, no, there are species that eventually, no, once they are already identified and then counted or accounted, no, ang may tabuan ni is eventually they die in many ways, like naturally ba kaya, or maybe they were hunted by the locals in that area. So ang mahitabo is mawala ang abundance na part. So all they have to do is to estimate the count. So let's say either maybe in percentage or in count, as in count in general, like 100 individuals of that particular species, or maybe thousands of them. So inana. Another basic assumption we have is the equal probability of being counted. No, that they are randomly distributed through the population if marked and released, and that they do not group by age, sex, or some other characteristics. So assumption of for sampling estimate is that sometimes no, when they are grouped together, naiuban adto nga imuha na siyang na capture and then na identify, and then of course they are mobile, then definitely they don't live in one area, so they have to find food for their no, in order for them to survive, so they have to travel to one place to another. So definitely ang assumptions sa sampling estimate could be biased in a way that it will no longer be the same, no? Nga dili na siya, lain na ang iyahang kuan, number of population, because evenly distributed naman siya, and knowing that some of it no are already accounted no and identified. So mao na siya no, some of the basic assumptions. So another is for something estimate, no, we use the quadrat method in order for them to know the abundance, no, or the presence of this particular animals in areas. So in quadrat method, no, set up for relatively motionless animals. So usually this can only be applied for those animals that don't really travel from one place to another every now and then. Kani mga motionless animals. Then the spatial distribution of quadrats will be based on the heterogeneity of more or less immobile animal populations. So basically, when you do quadrat method, you only do not establish one quadrat method for all, but you have to consider big quadrat, then you subdivide it into different number of quadrats. Kaya para ang imuhang result will be kanang reliable in a way that these animals, since they are kuan kining say tawag ani, this motionless no kaning mga less immobile animal na although ay kanang mga dili ga ko ano kaning mga ga-move sila pero dili kayo permente, so you'll no longer be having a hard time in dealing their population or estimating their population. So maybe in that first quadrant na you have established they can also be found in other quadrats like quadrat 2, quadrat 3. So pwede siya nga makita siya all over the quadrats. So it depends no on this immobile nga mga animal population. So kana since daghan man kay sila in quadrat. So since dagko nga man ni ang itong mga gipang storyahan ng mga animals, so you have to set up big quadrats for you to know the population or to estimate the population. So data can be analyzed for presence and frequency, of course. Kay dili na nato siya maingon na maihap nato, especially when we do estimation, it's not all about exact counting, but we only include if they are present in that particular quadrat, if dili na sila makita sa second quadrat or something like that, and the number of frequency that they are present, kung ikapila sila nato nakita sa isa ka quadrat. So that's it. So another is the sampling estimate using mark recapture method. So based on trapping, banding, or marking, and then later recapturing sample individuals. So kung kibali ato siyang kuan no, kining mark recapture method is sa una ato siyang na-capture nato siya, so we marked it by marking techniques nga this is already named and accounted. This particular species is named and accounted. So, kung once nga in the long run, no, we have to do recounting of populations. Like after 2 or 3 years, what happened to this particular population? So, we have to do mark recapture method. So, kung kato siya, imo na to siyang na-capture and imo na to siyang na-account sa una, after 2 to 3 years, you will be dealing with mark recapture method in which na imo na po siyang i-account to know particular status, no? Ilang current status para mahibalaan nimo ang estimation nila for that particular population of species. So, kana siya, no, where the big T is the number of marked animals in the pre-census period. Pre-census katong wala pa ka nag-census, no? And then small t, number of marked animals trapped in the census period. And of course, n, small n is the total number, total animals trapped in the census period. And of course, the big N is the population estimate. So, another kuan na po, no, is the sampling, sampling, indices. So these indices, no, are estimates of animal populations derived from counts of animal signs, calls, roadside counts, and so on. So it indicates trends of population from year to year and from habitat to habitat. So definitely these are used, no, to know the populations over time. So you'll be able to know if this population is declining or increasing, no. Then there are 4 methods involved in indices. First is the call counts, roadside counts, the pellet counts, and the use of dropping boards. So let's now have the call counts. Call counts are mainly used to know the population trend of certain birds. So researcher treads the route around sunrise or around sunset depending on the habit of the species. So kaning mga call counts, these are considered for bird species. Kaya kaning mga call counts is kanang usually kaning na maguna sila mga specific na sound, no? Way back in our ornithology, the study of birds, some subject on biology, no? May BS Bio nga background. We determine species, bird species, through the sound. So kung magnaayo ba, tweet, 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 uy, kato siya, katong mo to siya, ang kuan, kanang red bulbul nga bird. Ayaw mo katawa, kay nagid inana nga bird, no? Ang uban kay kanamit ang quack. So daw, quack. No, that's not quack. Basta na siya certain nga mga kuan na siya nga, kato gabi owl, kato mga inana, no? Kana mga midnight owl, something like that. So it depends on the trend, no, the trend of this particular species, because there are those birds that can only be heard during sunrise, then dili na siya di na mo kadungog sa iya during sunset. So depends on the habit of the species. So if these birds are considered nocturnals, so definitely they are active during nighttime. So kana. So observer stops at each station, records the calls he hears, and goes to the next station. So dito na po din ka, maproceed na po ka sa next nimo nga station, no? Dani nakita, something like that, nga mga kuan. Ay mo katawa. So the number of calls divided by the number of stops gives a call index figure. So that's for call counts, no? Then another method is the road sign counts. So similar to a call count, with exception that the number of animals observed along the route is recorded and the result divided the distance. So Same gyapon siya process to call counts, but the only difference they have is in roadside, you can actually see them. In call counts, manggod, imo madunggan ang sound lang, pero dili nimo makita. Although, naay times nga makita nimo siya, kaning mga birds, this particular bird species, but not all the time. So you have to study all the sounds that they make for you to identify what particular species are those, no? Katong ang imong gina-ID. But in roadside counts, no, all you have to do is to establish a line in which that kung naa nga station, then definitely kung unsa tong mga nakita nimo sa imuhang side, then you have to account it. You have to write it down in your data nga kung unsa lang imong na observe, no? Whereas on call counts, unsa imong na heard, no? So most of the time, what particular species, no, have you heard, no? So in terms of birds, so roadside counts, it's more an observation. If nakita nimo na siya nga bird na naglakaw-lakaw sa kilid, then definitely you'll record that, no? You'll account that for roadside counts. Now, we'll now move on to pellet counts. No? It refers to clusters of pieces of a certain animal. So, for example, kaning mga pellets. So, definitely, ihapon nimo ilak buok tai. Yes, tinod na siya. So, it involves the counting of pellet groups in sample plots or transects. So, kung nagtibugol sila dito, imuha siyang, i-cluster kung nag-cluster sila dito or nagbulag-bulag ba ang ang tai. So, kana siya. Ina na siya. I-count nimo ang pellets. So, below are the simple steps involved in doing the pellet count. Now, first is you establish rectangular plots on randomly located transect lines. So, let's say imong transect is 30 meters na line. So, isa ha. When you do transect lines, no, again, when you do transect line, you have 30 meters transect line. So definitely you'll do rectangular plots. So let's say for 30, you'll have by 5 meters. By distance of 5, magbuhat ka o rectangular, I swear na siya, basta rectangular na siya. Rectangular plots. So there, depende, you can randomly locate rectangular plots. Maybe this one here, then next is kani siya nga plot, ana, or maybe kani siya nga plot, ana. So random. So account pellet groups at the most favorable time when plant growth, leaf fall, etc. are least likely to interfere. So you have to make sure that when you count pellet groups, no, you have to consider na wala kaayoy wala ka nag-interfere ang mga leaf fall, no, dapat nagtuhan ninyo siya para dali ra niyo siya ma-count. So mark plots permanently and clear or point the pellet group at the start of the study where age determination of pellets is difficult. So, mark plots permanently and clear or point the pellet group at the start of the study where age determination of pellets is difficult. Yes. So, kaning mark plots permanently, if you want to know the trend of this population, kay mo man gimarkahan na nimo ang mga ilahang mga hugaw. So definitely you want to monitor their population, then you can do or you can make the plot permanently para dili na mo magsige og balik-balik og buhat og plots inside the transect line. So, muna siya, no? So, how to compute the pellet groups for unit area as follows. So T is the pellet group per unit area, where N is the number of plots. Pila ka book plots ang gihimo for 30 meters. And then area of one plot, let's say, ilang area? Kamo na bahala, no? Kung sa kadako ang inyong area, ana. So that is the pellet group per unit area. So that's how you know kuan. So now, saan na yung paghuman? So now you translate T to total days, the animal used area. So pila ka days daw kung nagigamit na siya nga area sa kanang particular na species. So assume a defecation rate of 14 pellet groups per animal per day for poor range, then 15 per day for adequate range. So kaning determine the period, the number of days over which the pellet groups were deposited. So kaning example, katong since kanus akalas nag-count, then pila ka plots ang cleared nimo, then blah blah blah. Then divide T by the defecation rate to obtain days of utilization by animal per unit area. Then divide the number of days of utilization by the number of days in the period to obtain the number of animal unit area. Actually, for pellet counts, I haven't done this before. So I'm not really sure on how to explain pellet counting. Pero I can give you videos to make sure that you'll get it right. Okay, basin ko when I explain this, then I don't have the experience, then maybe I cannot give a exact explanation for pellet counts. So I'll give you a video instead. So, okay. So another is the dropping board, a modification of the pellet group method designed for small mammals. So now, since ang pellet group can only be considered for big mammals or big animals, no? So what is the method designed for small animals, small mammals? So the procedure are as follows. Set 4 inches squares of weatherproof plywood in lines or grids. Number each station, then make a series of at least 3 visits. Then the time of the day the visits are made and their frequency will depend upon local conditions. So at each station, record the presence of droppings by species and brush the board for the next visit. Then results can be expressed as incidence of droppings for each species. So for small animals, no, bali, mura nimo siya og i-isolate ang kaning mga small mammals. Imo siya nga butangan nimo to siya og kanang butanganan kung asa sila murag, let's say dito sila malibang ana dun butangan na nimo board. Dropping board means kanang simply kanang mag-set lang ka og square nga weatherproof plywood in which nga kana siya mo imong ilhanan nga imo na siyang balikan for 3 visits, at least 3 visits to know whether kung naa pa bay kining presence of droppings by species, and kuan dayon kining to know if pila ka species ang gaanha dara, no? So mo na siya ang imuhang markings, no? For the next visit dayon, you have only to brush it. Dayon sa second day after nimo nga magkuan account, you have to brush it again, dayon so on and so forth. Kaya para may bal-an nimo kung pila ang ga-drop dara nga mga small mammals or small species nga libang didto. So pellet gyapon siya in a way nga dili siya movable, dana ra gid siya. So ang imong i-capture lang is those katong muagi didto. So you will not consider other kuan katubitang nigawas na sa imuhang marking. So that's it. So now why do we do dropping board ay? So basically, this can be used in studies of population trends. So makabalot ta kung sa kadagan ng population yung present dito by doing inana no nga kapila sila malibang dito sa imuhang gibutanganan, but also you need to consider unsa ka kaning sa kadako. Kay kung gamay ra siya, then gamay ra gid kay mo adto dito. Malibang sila dito din pagkuman kay nagtambay ra din sila dito, ya sila ra gyapon nalibang. So ana, you have to consider bigger kining area. So aside from that, no, can also be used in fluctuations sa ilang kanang ilang population or maybe their local distribution. Tapos maybe on their species association, then kaning effects maybe of the weather and the environmental conditions na on that particular activity. Then for those dayon nga katong mga small mammals na ay tagged, they are tagged with radioactive tracer or with dye bait, then definitely we'll know how or the estimation of their population, no? Kung unsa na nahitabo silang population. So now let's move on to determining the age, sex, and home range and territory. So first is the age. So as you can see, birds, no, are determined by their plumage development and the presence of the depth of the bursa of fabricus. So kung medyo dako na siya then definitely mature na siya nga chicken. And even kung kani ilang plumage, no, kung medyo gamay pa kayo ang tubo sa ilahang plumage, then they are still young. Kung inani na fully developed na siya, then dagpo na ni sila. For mammals, no, they can we can base it by their reproductive organs or the epiphyseal cartilage. So kani dili man nato siya makita, but when you hold this, kung medyo gahit na ni siya nga part sa ilahang unsa tawag ani ilahang hard bone, then definitely they are considered adults, no, ang mga mammals. So for the sex determinants, of course, for mammals, their external genitalia, but for birds, no, sometimes we consider their plumage differences. Like ang mga birds, for example, sa birds, no, ang mas attractive is ang mga boys than girls. They are more more colorful than the girls because ang kaning mga boys, no, attract their mates by their colors. So others, no, maybe in terms of their tail length, nga taas kayo ilang tail length, so that determines the sex of a particular species. So another is determining the home range territory. So it's the calculation of home range. So kaning use of dyed bait. So kaning dyed bait is mura ni siya dye nga color, maybe in terms sa ilahang nails, kung maamay nails din kining mga mammals, siguro pwede nimo siya i-dye para may balaan nimo nga kung for example nag-dye ka, let's say within Cagayan de Oro City, tapos nakita nimo na siya nga naana siya sa Bukidnon, then maybe yung home range is from Cagayan de Oro to ang iyang population, no, nga ga-travel sila within ana nga range. So that's how we determine their home range territory. So or maybe kanang mga gagmay nga burrowing animals, if they can be found with kanang bitang nakita niyo nga giday sila na ay dye nakabutang dito sa ilahang some parts of their in their body, then definitely maybe this particular area suits their physiological system, then definitely it's one of the home range territory. So napod atay ginatawag na mapping territorial boundaries that, for example, in birds such as Philippine eagle, they are considered territorial. So if na ay masagol sa ila, so dapat sa isa ka, I don't know if you've been to Davao. Kay in Davao they have kuan man good kaning isa ka kuan, isa ka eagle, isa ka cage nga dako kaayo. Pero ang area niya is pataas kay since they so that dili malimit ang ilahang pag-fly sa taas kay mas stress man na sila. So what they will do is taas ang area nila pero sila lang isa because they are considered as territorial. So magpinatyanay sila kung ibutang nimo sila diha dungan, no? Mura na sila og mga manok ba nga pag first time pa nila nakita magsinabungay sila, no, nana. So that's for mapping territorial boundaries, no, in which the kung for example if the Philippine eagle was freed in very spacious area, then definitely sunod na pod kina na pod gi pabuyan dadto, then you can map the population in which na naghana sila ngadto na naay presence ani nga Philippine eagle katong Pithecopaga jeffreyi ng mga species. So nag-dominate na sila dito kay naanay mga nag-mate dito. So in ana, no, you can map them so that you'll be able to know their population if it's declining or increasing. So that's it. So that's all for call this sampling animal populations. So since I'm very to call this sort of exhausted, so I'll have to end this video and then I'll just give you the video for flora and fauna next week, maybe Monday. But our consultation meeting will only cover on this part, sampling animal population. But make sure na though we only have one consultation meeting, so make sure that you'll read the flora and fauna of freshwater ecosystem so that you'll be able to be directed and to familiarize the different methods used in flora and fauna. Flora and fauna, no? In freshwater ecosystem, okay? I know that many of you or most of you like to deal their study with water quality. So aside from water quality, you have to know the different kinds of species living in that so that you can to call this you'll know the relationship of that particular species to the existing water quality nga imuhang gistudihan. Kay of course ang main affected kung declining magani or something like degrading na ang water, then definitely mo bounce back na siya sa mga species nga present dara in that area. So you also have to study with the different species underwater. So if you want to deal with water quality, so not all the time water quality lang ta. So dapat na po yung mga, that's what we call bioindicator species, in which na this particular species, no, are indicator whether the quality of water is okay or not okay. So definitely you'll have to include them in your study when you do water quality studies. So that's it. That's for now. Thank you very much. And I'm really thankful that I've already surpassed 2 topics and 115 slides, and we're now on 89th slide. makastress siya. So I hope na you'll be able to understand or yes, to appreciate more of the biological factors, no? Kay, this will also be helpful in your thesis soon if you be dealing with kuan kining animal species, especially NRM, no, natural resource management. So kana. Thank you so much. God bless everyone and keep safe.